Good afternoon, everybody. It's Vicky Midwood here, along with Jenny Bolt, and we are with our weekly What If. And this week's title is What If Always? Now, Jenny, would you like to explain that title for our lovely listeners?
I will indeed. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast, our information centre, whatever you like to call it. So, what do we mean by this? What if always? Well, how many times do we say to ourselves, particularly around this time of year with all the festivities, preparations, I always do this, but we always do this. How much of that is actually buying into this reality? And I'm going to ask you today, what if there was another way that actually generated and created so much more ease, joy, and fun for not only yourself, but actually the people around you too?
And I just love those words that you've picked up on there: ease, joy, and fun, because they feel light. And that's what Christmas is supposed to be about, isn't it? And yet we manage to make it feel heavy with all of the always traditions, things that we think we should do because we've always done them. And so where do you think this comes from, Jenny? Why do we stay stuck in these patterns of always?
I think a lot of it's to do with this reality. It's a safety net, isn't it, really? That we just become a habit. It's easy, Christmas is upon us, festivities are upon us. Oh, we've got to do da 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 da, whatever that is, it means to everybody, and everyone will have something different. And then you've got also the people around you but the relatives and all the things. We must have somebody here. They can't be on their own. They are on their own, or we must have them. Everyone. And we go into this thing that everyone's doing something. I have yet to meet everyone, and I have yet to meet what normal is in any household, because when you speak, certainly after Christmas and after the festivities, you're talking and everybody's had something different. And this is what we're looking at. What if you can be and choose something different without all the usual angst and stress? One of the tools I would love to give you is when you begin to notice you're contracting. We talked about this last week, barriers down, expand out. When you notice you're contracting and thinking, I must do, and we always do it this way. What if you ask, truth, who does this belong to?
Great question.
And notice how your body reacts to. And yourself, you can look at, if it feels light, just go return to sender. And it doesn't mean you have to know that's Great Aunt Flo's or John Smith's or whoever it may be. You don't have to know who it is being returned to, because very often we don't know anyway. It is just an energy.
Yeah. And this is the thing, isn't it? We get handed down these beliefs, traditions, the ways of being, and often we just don't question them because we kind of come from this, well, we've always done it, so we'll always do it, and we won't stop and question it. But until we can stop and question where this comes from, we're never going to give ourselves the space or the permission to change it, are we?
Absolutely not. And I think that's the other thing, is that we are given so many different options with everything, and this is how we do it. And we're given the list. Marketing is brilliant. It's bombarding us with all the shoulds and the things that we can do. What if, even if you ask yourself the question, okay, truth, what choices do I have here, and what can I choose that will work for me and people around me? Rather than think you had to buy in and have everything. Everything has to be handmade. Everything has to be bought. Everything has to be got off Amazon. Wherever it is, it really doesn't matter. No, you're being easy. So what if?
Do you think that we have a tendency to buy into what we see on the television and films that kind of glamorize how all families are having a fantastic time, and it's snowing and there's a tree with a hoard of presents underneath, and mum's in the kitchen with the whole family preparing, and it's all just joyous? And the reality is, I don't know anybody who has experienced that. And yet we kind of buying into this and striving to make it so, when we don't actually stop to think, well, whose story is this anyway? And is that exactly what I want? Because when you actually ask people, what do they want? And do they enjoy Christmas? I've come across so many people who just want to get it over and done with. And that's kind of, but it's supposed to be, as you said earlier, joyous and fun and easy. So what if we could just stop doing these traditional things and question what is beneficial to me and to my family? And maybe, just maybe, we could create our own traditions that we don't have to do every year. What do you think about that as a plan?
Absolutely. And I agree, because it's become a great, Christmas has become, and festivities become a great marketing exercise. So if you're in question, and we love all these films, I mean, they can bring you to tears and they can do all sorts of things. And it's kind of that feel good factor. So what if you just take those feel good factor and think, oh, what actually can I create here for me? Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be the huge tree, the masses of things. And the other thing I always find interesting about a lot of these wonderful things is the space that people have around them. They're in spaces the size of football pitches. Most of us, wonderful if you do, but most of us do not live in a space as large as that. And I feel that sometimes we're then creating something that is a non-reality to start with. So what is it that's going to work for us, I think. Yeah.
And I think, as you quite rightly said, that this year there's a lot of worry and anxiety around what should we be doing. And for some people, it's not possible from a health point of view, and from a traveling across the country point of view. It's not going to be possible for them to do what they've always done. So maybe that this is the year where they can go, what if this is the year I take the opportunity to change the tradition, and we all as a family communicate what we'd actually like to do as opposed to what we think we ought to or should do.
Absolutely. And we do tend to miss out why we're doing this. I mean, for me, it is a religious festival if you do that. But the essence of Christmas in this country and other festivities is actually a happiness, a getting together, an acknowledgement. And if you look just even at the stories that are put out there, it is about someone being kind to somebody, finding something for somebody to live, to stay, to be with at a time, to assist them, and to be grateful for what it is. And we tend to lose that. We consider that to be norm. Oh, well, yes, we know that. Oh, thank you so much. Da, 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 da. And actually, what if we do focus on the gratitude, the honouring of each other, and importantly, the gratitude and acknowledgement to our own selves and others as well as that too. So I think that there's lots of things, the kindnesses.
Yeah,
and the kindness can be a gift too.
Right. So I was going to say, kindness is a gift that we don't necessarily look upon as being a gift. And particularly as females, and if you're a mom and a daughter, there are certain expectations from a lot of the females to be the person who is always the giver. We give of our time, we give of our energy, we give of our emotions. We give to a lot of other people because we care and we want to. We often forget to give to ourselves. And we're often pretty rubbish at receiving from others. And Christmas allows us to reflect and take stock on not just being the giver, but also being good at receiving, because I love giving things to people, right? But I have to have somebody who's going to receive what I'm giving. I have to have receivers, otherwise I can't give. And so if you don't allow yourself to be a receiver, then it makes it so much more difficult to be able to connect with someone on a proper intimate level. And that's really what it's about, isn't it? It's about humanity and kindness and connection.
Yes. And the word that comes up there is judgment for me. We judge everything. And that judgment to me is like a blockade.
Mm-hmm.
Once we start judging ourselves or judging what somebody else is doing at the time, whatever we think they should be doing, all that stuff, it prevents people receiving.
Yeah.
So what if you imagined yourself like a calendar, and you put the barriers of any judgment down, and you just received everything and judge nothing? Because you're receiving doesn't mean you have to hang on to it.
Correct.
So people, if they might say things or do things that you don't particularly work for you, what if you just even your head go, thank you so much, gratitude for that. That's their point of view. That's where they are. And there's no wrongness in that. But why not going, well, they're a bit off, or, oh, wow. You're not holding on to that emotions, which of course is automatically prevents your body from going into a stress position.
Yeah, that would be an awesome way for everybody to spend this Christmas, wouldn't it? To
Absolutely.
leave out the judgment. And I think if we can do that, there will be a collective sigh of relief. We haven't got all of these expectations and judgments because we always do it this way. And I think this year of all years is almost like we're being given a gift, because we're having to do things differently. We're having to think differently. And rather than us poo-pooing that and talking about how hard it is because we can't always do it how we've always done it, we need to embrace it and go, thank you for this opportunity to be able to create the kind of experience that I would like.
I agree. And a great question there is, what other possibilities are there here we haven't even considered?
Exactly.
Because so often we do just shut down because that is the norm. And be aware too of listening to what is being fed you.
Mm-hmm.
Because although we get delicious foods and all the things that we do, listen to the words that people are saying. And not necessarily family words, but words that are coming from media, from all sorts of sources that are telling you what you should and shouldn't feel.
Absolutely.
So if you don't like that, who does this belong to? Return to sender. So when you start feeling, okay, who does this belong to? Return to sender.
I can picture so many people looking at the TV now going, return to sender, return to sender. Let's sit there.
I'd also frack the insanity of most of it, but that's my personal opinion.
Well, we all know, don't we, on a deep level? Well, I'm saying we all know. Actually, not everybody does. But TV advertising, it works because it is proper brainwashing. It is absolutely legitimized brainwashing because we're hearing the same thing over and over again. It's said with authority. Authority is said with confidence, and it's the repetition of those three things: authority, confidence, repetition. That is what programs our brain, whether it's belief or anything else.
Yes, I agree. And another thing one might be aware of is when your children are watching whatever they're watching, they also make their Christmas lists with a lot of them from what they have seen others or what they've seen on the television.
Yeah.
And be aware that children are much more receptive than we are. They absorb everything like little sponges, which is why so much advertisements are actually aimed at them.
Correct.
To make them feel good. So be in question. This is not about how much you spend, how much you don't spend, whatever that may be. It's the fun of unwrapping something. And even if it was a big balloon full of hugs and you wrapped it up.
I absolutely love that.
What a thing.
I think the most important thing that people can take away from today is that there is no must or should when it comes to this time of year. It has to be in alignment with you, and you have to give yourself permission to think about what it's actually about. It's not about what you've always done. It's about feeling the joy, the gratitude of this time of year, and just remembering, as human beings, we are here to connect, and we need to do that. That doesn't mean material things. It doesn't mean a massive table with huge belly, with a huge meal and us falling asleep afterwards. It doesn't mean getting drunk. It doesn't mean comparing your thing with the next door neighbors or somebody across the road's thing. It just means feeling content and grateful as a person and as being part of a family or a community. So Jenny, your last words on this.
Being present is really good. So what if you were your present to yourself and the gift to yourself? And what if you didn't have to figure all this out? You just chose for the next 10 seconds what works for you. And if that isn't working, choose again.
Choose again. It's always about choice. And that is the biggest gift we can give ourselves, isn't it?
Absolutely. And removes all the stress.
So on that note, I hope that you have found this helpful, folks. And if you've got any comments or you would like to get in touch with Jenny or I, we're going to just tell you how. Jenny, how can people connect with you if they want to find out who you are and what you do?
I'm on LinkedIn at the moment, and I have a Facebook page under Jenny Bolt.
Excellent. And you can catch me on LinkedIn too, and on my website, vickymidwood.com, on my Facebook page, The Addiction and Disordered Eating Eliminator. And if you do have any comments or questions, we'd love you to put them below this video. Just literally put hashtag replay if you're watching on replay. And if you found this helpful, give us some love, give us some likes. And if you know anybody who you think might find it useful, then point them in the direction or send a link for them to view it for themselves. Thank you so much. It's been a joy as usual, Jenny. I look forward to seeing you next week on our What If Weekly.
I look forward to it too, Vicky. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, everyone.